Today on ECHL Week, more former league players get the call to Major League Hockey. Highlights from a pair of featured games, one in the Pacific Division, one in the South Division. An Atlantic Division executive is very optimistic about his team's future. And Dominic Hashark on the ice at an ECHL game? You just never know who you'll see at a hockey game or what you'll see next on ECHL Week. Welcome to ECHL Week. We're glad to have you along for our weekly trek through what's going on in the Premier AA Hockey League. Let's get started. 4 more former ECHL players have made it to the National Hockey League, bringing the total number to 498. Former Stockton Thunder center and 2011 ECHL All-Star Game MVP Mark Arcobello became the 495th player to play in the NHL after the ECHL, when he made his debut with the Edmonton Oilers in a 3-2 overtime loss to Dallas. Arcobello, 24, blocked a couple of shots in 18-15 of ice time for the Oilers. Ex-Toledo Walleye defenseman Brian Lashoff and goaltender Peter Mrazek both made their NHL debuts with the Detroit Red Wings as numbers 496 and 497 to make the majors after stints in the ECHL. Lashoff made his first Major League appearance in a 4-3 shootout win against Columbus. The 22-year-old scored his first NHL goal in the second period, had 2 shots on goal, and was a +1 in about 18 minutes of ice time. Mrazek made his NHL debut, making 26 saves on 27 shots to record the victory in a 5-1 win against St. Louis. And former Wheeling Nailers center, 2011 ECHL All-Star and 2010-11 ECHL Rookie of the Year Ben Street became the 498th player to play in the NHL after the ECHL when he made an appearance for Calgary in a 5-1 loss to Vancouver. The 25-year-old recorded a couple of shots and was a -2 for the Flames. A number of teams around the ECHL have some veteran players who contribute their talents on the ice while also helping to mentor some of the young players in the league. Nowhere is this more apparent than in Kalamazoo, where 40-year-old Corey Carlander and 37-year-old Sam Fatorik are doing their parts to help the Wings try to earn their 3rd consecutive Eastern Conference championship. Carlander's out of the lineup right now, but Fatorik, who recently played his 900th game as a pro, has risen to number 5 all-time in games played in the ECHL. There's a good chance he'll get to number 3 before this season is over. Caught up with Fatorik recently, and he talked about both this year and his lengthy, successful career.
You've spent a lot of your career in the ECHL, although you've been all over the place, but you've spent most of your career in the ECHL. Talk a little bit about the changes you've seen in the league from when you were earlier in your career up to this point.
Well, when I first got sent to the ECHL, it was a little eye-opening. It was usually, a line brawl once a week, a bench clear probably once a month. There was a little bit different respect factor. Now, being that we're the premier AA affiliate of the NHL, there's a bit more respect. The fighters will go after fighters, and skill guys are allowed to do their skill thing. You respect the other person's career because this is their job. It's not just something you decided to do for a year and see what you can make on the side. And that's the biggest difference. Is it's a career choice. It's a career path. It's people get sent here when they're drafted in order to mature, and that's the biggest difference. Is that now it's actually your career. Before it was just kind of a hobby. It's a pipeline. It's it's the start of your career. It's a starting point. And for some of us, this is where we kind of go up and down, or we go to Europe and come back. This is where I'm going to probably end my career. But for me now, it's about learning about how to coach. Learning from Nick, learning from Josh. Figuring out when I get the chance to step behind the bench. Get all my ducks in a row and make sure that I have a good foundation for that.
that's something that you're interested in doing then in the future, perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to get a real job. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but I don't need to punch a time clock. I mean, the stuff that goes on for coaches and for players is definitely time-consuming and very demanding. But if you have a passion for it, it's not something you don't want to do. You always want to go to work. You always want to see the faces, of the guys coming in, and definitely coaching is something I'd like to do.
He plays defense, he plays forward, he plays center, he plays everywhere. He wants to play goalie. He's got his own equipment and would love to jump in the net if you'd let him. Every time there's a goalie missing in practice, he's putting his hand up, and I keep shaking my head no. So we did let him one day, but it was supposed to be hush hush. But I'm sure he'd be happy that it made the airways.
How did he do in that day?
He did great. I think the next decade of his career he might become a goaltender.
You know what? It's something I've always liked to do. I got pads when I was in second grade from Santa, and I had a blast with it. It's just, it was one of those things. It's so specialized. I liked playing, skating and doing other things, so I didn't end up following that. But I got my own set of gear. So when I'm done, when I hang him up as a pro, for men's league, I'm gonna play goalie.
As you're probably a little closer to the end of your pro career as you from the start, what do they mean now, or do you think they'll mean maybe even more later on, those kind of milestones?
They'll probably mean more later on. I mean, I didn't even, I don't look at the stat sheets that often. Michael told me, Meduno, about game 900. It's just a game. I mean, right now we're battling for a playoff spot, and that's the most important thing. If it is my last year, I definitely don't want to go out without making the playoffs. So, I might try a little bit harder just, for that, not so much the milestones. I mean, milestones will come if you keep working hard and, kind of stick with it. But it's one of those things where we got to make the playoffs and ideally win a championship. And if it's my last year, I can go out on top.
Things are going, looks like pretty well as opposed to earlier in the season when it was kind of back and forth a little bit. What's any big change that's taken place?
I think we're just more disciplined in our systems. We're buckling down as a team. We've lost a lot of skill because of the call-ups, with the NHL. Starting their season, a lot of our guys have been called up as well as the other teams. Now we're simplifying our game. We're getting the pucks out, we're getting them in, we're taking shots, we're going to those hard areas, and it's paying off. I mean, Nick just keeps the systems, fresh in our mind, and then it's up to us to go out and execute, and we're doing that now. So that's been the biggest change.
He's got one of the hardest shots in the league, and he can really pound the puck, and we use him on the power play. He does a great job on the back end, and then he's the ultimate team first guy. He really doesn't care if he could score no goals in 20 games. If we're winning, he doesn't care what's going on. He jumps up and plays forward. He plays defense. He plays in every situation for us: power play, penalty kill. Just a guy who shows up at the rink every day, showing the young guys what it's all about. He comes prepared with a smile on his face, and he enjoys the game as well. So to have another asset like that in our locker room is huge, and just someone, he comes from obviously a great hockey background with his dad coaching the NHL and being a coach his whole life, and playing in the NHL. So he comes from that. He's just a true hockey player.
It's nice when guys come up and ask me questions, and I can give them any type of insight, towards whether it's preparing for on the day of a game or doing something different on an off day, right down to the details of Nick's systems. It's rewarding for me that, when they go up, if they stick, if I help them with some little thing or, and they keep in touch, it's just rewarding that way. But like I said, it's just a matter of getting everybody on the same page and going out and working together as a team, and that's what we've been doing now. And that's what I try and bring to the table, is just to make sure everyone's together, going out and battling for those 2 points.
What do you have left to accomplish this season and in your career?
Just a championship would be nice. An ECHL championship would be unbelievable, to win a Kelly Cup, and to, like I said, whether it's this year, next year, my last season, that would be the ideal icing on the top of the cake.
For the first 2 months of the season, Colorado's Chad Costello was at the top of the ECHL scoring heap by a wide margin. That accomplishment earned him a call-up to Bridgeport of the AHL, where he's been ever since. The next player to rise to the top of the league scoring charts is Ontario's Colton Yellowhorn. Yellowhorn has 36 goals in 48 games this season, far and away the league leader in that category. So, since he's at the top of the stats package, guess what's happened? He's been called up to the AHL for the first time in his professional career. The ECHL Player of the Month for January is now in Manchester with the Monarchs. Both the Reign and Monarchs are affiliated with the Stanley Cup champion Los Angeles Kings. In the ECHL, Yellowhorn has already set franchise records for goals and game-winning goals in a season for the Reign. Coming up, our first featured game takes us to a Pacific Division battle in Bakersfield. That's ahead on ECHL Week.
I'm a legend. I'm the player you want to be. I'm the name you'll wear on your jersey. I'm one of a kind. You'll see me everywhere. On the ice. Online. On the All-Star team. Take a good look. I'm the future.
The Bakersfield Condors are on the outside looking in as far as the Western Conference playoff picture is concerned. With less than 20 games remaining in the season, every game is crucial for the Condors. Meanwhile, Stockton is comfortably in second place in the Pacific Division. So in our Western featured game this week, the Thunder travel south to Condorstown. Ryan Holt and Kevin Bartle have the call for us on Fox Sports Radio 970.
Over the blue line, Freeman to the right circle. Freeman looking, and front scores! Francis Moreau on the backhand tip. A great feed from Scott Freeman. We're a minute and 43 seconds old, and the Condors have the game's first goal.
Well, at first I was going to scold Freeman for not taking a shot on goal, and Moreau had a guy draped all over him like a wet blanket. But he fought through it, and he reached out, and Freeman put it perfect.
Condors at full strength. Puck played to the neutral zone. Here's Perlini out of the box on the breakaway. Perlini in all alone. He shoots and scores. Brett Perlini goes all the way down out of the penalty boxes. Beats Buns cold, and the Condors lead 2-0. 17:06 to go, second period. The Condors back in their own zone. Enders will knock one forward onto the stick of Moreau. Moreau coming in over the blue line, delayed right side for Freeman. Freeman into the slot. Buns dove out. His shot saved. Rebound, scores! Francis Moreau, his second of the evening, and that one was with Buns out of the net. And the Condors have a 3-0 lead.
I have no idea what Tyler Buns is thinking here. I mean, what are you doing? There's a guy right between the circles, and you're flopping out trying to poke check.
And we're going to have a fight. Tyson Gimlet out in front of the Stockton net. He'll go with Matt Ambrose. Ambrose hasn't had a lot of shifts here tonight. Gimlet over the top of the right, and then they topple down to the ice. Levesque with the motion out in front of the Condors net. To the bottom of the right circle. Pass back from Berglund. Center point for Levesque in tight Berglund. Berglund bottom of the right dot. Quick shot save. Grenham rebound, scores. Hunter left at the top of the crease. Berglund fed it off the right shoulder of Grenham. Lyon leads overall in that department with 14. But, of course, the majority of those coming with the Orlando Solovers. A wraparound in the score down to the Condors' end as Justin Malin was able to send one all the way from around the net. Scott Grenham a little late getting over. I think he just got hung up on the far post and couldn't slide side to side. And Malin was able to stuff one in the back of the cage. A 3-2 hockey game. Handled there in tight by Hayes. Reed quick in front. Boisclair scores. Grenham got caught by surprise at the bottom of the left circle. And Boisclair continues his point per game average, his third goal in 7 games. And we have a brand new hockey all knotted up at 3.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see it coming. I mean, the Condors haven't put any pressure on Stockton at all. All the shots that they've gotten here in this period have come from outside. Reed off the stick of Constance. Condors forced the turnover. Trombley in over the blue line in front. Barreau couldn't handle the pass. It caught him up high. Left point. Haynes shot. Tipped it. Scores! Scott Freeman at the top of the crease. The Condors get a late one with 3:22 left in the third. Off a great shot from Kyle Haynes. Well, it's a nice play by Varro. He sees he has the time, moves it back to the point for the shot. Haynes doesn't get all of it. It ends up being nice and perfect.
And the Condors, despite giving up a 3-goal lead, show some resiliency and come on back in the hockey game. Scott Freeman with the game winner and a 4-3 victory here at Rabobank Arena.
Popularity of North America's top AA hockey league is increasing. Through the first weekend of February, the ECHL has averaged over 4,600 fans per game. That's a nearly 12% increase over the same period last season. On February the 6th, total attendance for the league this year passed the 2.5 million mark. The ECHL is on pace for its largest per-game average since the figure hit 4,774 per game during the 1999-2000 season. Up next, ECHL Week travels to Trenton for a chat with one of the men who's responsible for that team's turnaround off the ice. When ECHL Week continues.
From opening night until the Kelly Cup is raised, watch every game of the 2012-13 ECHL season exclusively on AmericaOneSports.com. Catch the action live or on demand. Games available on your PC, Mac, or mobile device. The biggest goals, hardest hits, and spectacular saves all season long can be found only at AmericaOneSports.com, the official broadband broadcaster to the ECHL.
With the very busy president of the Trenton Titans, Rich Lisk, who is running all sorts of promotions and doing all sorts of things.
Well, let's talk two ways. I think off the ice, we're going to be okay. We were trending high, so that's been good. We always do better after the first of the year, which is very good, too. Off the ice, we've been hit very hard. I had 9 guys taken from me today. This is really the third version of the Trenton Titans that the fans have seen. So I hopefully, once this whole couple weeks is done, we'll get a few players back, we'll settle into a nice routine, and then be ready for the playoffs.
You're not alone. Certainly, almost every team in the ECHL has had big issues in terms of players going up to American Hockey League clubs. Talk about some of the specifics, though, you said, of the things you had been planning in advance when the lockout ended. Give me some specifics about what you guys have been thinking about.
You know, off the ice, you always keep in touch with players, and that's one of the things that, I mean, on the ice, we always keep in touch with players. So there was a couple of players that we had here that played with us last year, like a Derek Palace, who went to the Central League to play, so we were able to take him back out of the Central League, which was nice, and a few other players that we keep in touch with. But off the ice, too, we never... A lot of people asked me, oh, you know, you should take advantage of the lockout. And I never wanted to be in a position where I was relying on the lockout. So we didn't put all of our eggs in that lockout basket, where we're still doing, like tonight, Military Appreciation Night, which would have happened with or without the NHL lockout. Next week, we have over 1,000 scouts coming here for Scout Night. A couple weeks, we're going to have another 1,000 scouts sleeping over here, which is the first time we've done things. So, yeah, we tried to capitalize a little bit on the strike. I did a thing where if you had season tickets to an NHL team, you can come here and get a free ticket, things like that. But I didn't want to rely on that because we all knew it was going to end, and we just wanted to, we're branding the Titans. Yes, it's hockey, but we are affiliated with the NHL, but I don't want to rely on them being out for me to do well.
Is there anything that surprised you to this point of the season as far as operating the team? And certainly the first year you guys were back in Trenton as the Titans with this ownership group, you got caught late because you were starting late. This year is your first full season with a whole summer of preparedness. Is there anything that surprised you this year coming into it in this fashion?
When you have time, you can do a lot of different things. You know, last year we got thrown to the fire, and you know, people don't realize we had 10 weeks to put it together. And when I say 10 weeks, I mean 10 weeks of not having a staff, not having a stick, not having a puck, not having a helmet. So we literally started a team from nothing in 10 weeks. This year, being able to catch our breath, have the offseason to plan, put a marketing plan together, put promotions in place. Like last year, we didn't have a chance to do the Superstars, or our Military Appreciation Night didn't have these aspects that you see tonight. We didn't have a chance to have the scouts sleep over. So my biggest thing has been able to have that time and be able to say, wow, let's take a step back and let's do this the right way.
You've made quite an accomplishment in pulling this all together. Is there any one thing in particular that you are particularly proud of to this point as far as this franchise is concerned?
You know what, the longevity of the franchise, I had someone once say to me, well, you guys just came back a year ago, but technically Trenton has had hockey here for 13 years. And the one thing I'm really, really proud of, and we say it's called the Titans Nation, and I started that moniker back in 99, 2000, the Nation, and I'm proud that we have the fans that come out. Our fans never left. The true Titans fans were always here. And I'm proud to say that we've gotten the season tickets back up close to 1,000, which is my goal this year. Get it up to 1,500 next year. Get the crowds better. Our crowds are going to average over 3,000 fans this year again, which is going to be good. And get it back to that. But when you get down to the core basis of what I'm the most proud of, it's our fans and the fans that have stayed with us since 1999.
What would making the playoffs this year mean to this franchise?
You know what, back in 2005 when we won the championship and 2001 when we went to the championship, those were huge accomplishments. And I would say for this franchise, making the playoffs this year would be just as big as that, because they haven't been to the playoffs in a while. And the new Titans are back. And that's a thing that the fans are thirsting for. And they want to see that logo back in the playoffs. And that's my goal this year. A lot of people say, oh, we're going to win the Kelly Cup, we're going to win the Kelly Cup. Sure, I'd love to. Everyone would love to. But my goal is I want to put a toe and I want to put a foot in those playoffs this year.
A brief note about our 500th ECHL player to make the NHL contest. Number 500 happened very quickly after we announced the contest, so it didn't run for very long. However, we did have dozens of entries, and several of them chose the correct date, February the 12th. The winner is getting an ECHL prize pack, which includes these items and more. We'll have a story about that lucky person on our show next week. Thanks to everyone who entered.
Still ahead, our second featured game with a couple of South Division teams, and a look at some rare animals sighted at an ECHL game. That's next on ECHL Week.
So many reasons to be a fan, so many ways to show it. Customize your own at shop.nhl.com.
In most leagues, it's not too easy for expansion teams to make the playoffs in their inaugural seasons. The Orlando Solar Bears are trying to qualify for postseason play and make their many fans happy while doing so in their first year. They're in the thick of an Eastern Conference playoff hunt, which features at least 8 teams vying for 4 spots. The Greenville Road Warriors don't have that problem. They've been at or near the top of the South Division standings all season. Let's check in with these two rivals as they battle it out during a recent contest in Central Florida. Bob Mills has the call for us on 740 The Game.
Blair will step up, takes a shove from Brenton Cameron, circle the puck in behind the net. The ME fan on his clearing attempt, his drives will pressure him. Solar Bears trying to finish off a line change. Lead pass. Here comes a breakaway. Cameron into the zone. And the save made by Colleen. Cameron will recover. It's Ryan Crothers back up the wall. His pass got caught up in the snow next to the boards. Never reached Matt Severin, though. Comes through center. Puts on the break. Score! CJ Severin found himself open in the slot. Made no mistakes with a hard wrister into the top right corner of the cage. CJ Severin will get credit. Brothers as well as Siska may both be getting assists on the goal. Solar Bears trying to chase it down. Gender nearly able to gather it up, but did deflect the pass away to McNarty. To Gender now in the left wing circle. Step shot, save made, rebound, score! Came on the left side, and right on the doorstep to knock it home was Rob McNarty as it bounced off the pads of Nathan Lewin. Still, of course, lots of hockey left. The Solar Bears will take a 2-0 lead. Gender will pick up an assist on this goal. Derek Martin getting involved with Bergstresser. Blair with Bergstresser. Martin with Breton Cameron. Martin and Cameron still going at it as the linesmen are between the two of them. Doesn't look like anything further is going to come from this. Ryan Blair is getting ready to go to the penalty box for a 2-minute slashing call as he took a chop at one of the two Road Warrior forwards. On the near side now it's Hobbs. Good flow and pass to Connolly. Turnaround was looking out in front of the net for Breton Cameron. Pass never made it to him, and a quick shot from the blue line deflected in front. They score. We'll make it a 2-1 game. The shot from Stamler off that left side. Draw one back by Hobbs. Picked up on redirected. They score. Believe that Flanagan is going to pick up an assist on this one. Michael Neal clearing the puck off the wall, up the ice. Here comes Dries. Dries into the zone. Step the shot. Score! Dan Dries up the left side. Answers right back for Orlando. Michael Neal the assist on the play. Appeared an even strength goal for Orlando. They'll stop the bleeding there and regain the lead in this contest. First goal is a Solar Bear by Dan Dries. And what a time for it. A huge win on home ice for Orlando as they knock down the South Division leader.
One of the entertainment troops making the rounds to a number of ECHL arenas this year is the Superstars. It's kind of hard to describe what they do, but lots of people do enjoy their antics and they generate lots of laughs. You'll note that a number of sports are represented on the roster from a recent appearance of the Superstars. There's Yao Flamingo, Bobby Orangutan, Dominic Hashark, Mario Lemuel, Cal Ripken Jr., and Mackerel Jordan. So in an effort to show all different types of activities which take place before, during, and after ECHL games, here's a brief look at the Superstars. Most definitely not your typical zoo animals. That wraps up another edition of ECHL Week. Please remember to visit our Facebook page. It includes both videos and information which are exclusive to that site. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, make it a good week. Make it an ECHL Week.